Good evening, all of you. Welcome everyone for this awareness initiative program. I am very much thankful to Rajni sir, Dr. Singh sir, and other scientists of this institute and the research fellows who came here for this awareness program. The work was done at the University of Pune. Let us have a brief look on the present scenario of the plastic waste management, because plastic is nowadays a common highly used polymer around the globe. In the present scenario, it is highly impossible to think the ease of life without the aid of plastic in our day-to-day life. So first of all, I would like to brief you something about the plastic. What plastic is? Actually, plastic is a Greek terminology. It is derived from a Greek word plastikos, which means to mend or to modify in other shapes. It is made up of various high molecular weight, long chains of hydrocarbons. If you talk about polyethylene, polyethylene is a polymer made up of 1,000 monomeric units of ethene. And the plastic, why it affects our whole domains of life, from kitchen to industry level, because of its enormous properties. It is having various good properties, so that is why it enables it replaces all the other traditional systems used for packaging, used for other commodities. So before going through over the impact of plastic waste, the ban on plastic waste, other issues which are raised globally currently, and in the independent speech of our Prime Minister, he too spoke about plastic waste. This ban on single-use plastic waste. We'll talk about that later. Let us have a brief overview how the plastic was discovered, especially the polythene. Well, the polythene was discovered 2 times, both time by chance, by serendipity. For the first time, it was discovered in Germany by a German scientist who was working on chemicals named diazomethane. During by accident, they have not aimed to produce polyethylene, but they were working on some other aspect. One day, due to some accidents, they heated the diazomethane at high temperature, and they found that some white mass like substances was reported. Later, his 2 students and colleagues, they confirmed that this white waxy substance was nothing but the long chain of methane. So at that time, they have identified it as polymethylene. Later, 2 other scientists, Fawcett and Gibson, they were working at Empirical Chemical Laboratory, UK. They were working on some dyes. Their objective was to get some novel compounds, because on those days there was a race to get some novel compounds, to get new colorants. So they were working on that aspect. Unfortunately, they were not getting results, so they are getting failure continuously. And after 15th failed reaction, they have started a reaction consisting of benzaldehyde and ethylene, and at that time they increased the pressure up to 1900 Pascal, and the temperature was raised to 170 degree. And it was a Friday. They have 2 days weekends. Both were hurry on that day, so they left the lab after starting the experiments. They left the lab quickly, and the following Saturday they visited the lab. They came to the lab, and they have astonished to see that the pressure of the reactor was decreased. But again, they were in hurry. They didn't notice how the pressure was decreased. They increased the pressure, and just they left the lab. And then the following Monday, when they came to the lab, they have noticed that a wax-like substance, waxy substance was generated. That wax generated was later known as polymethylene or polyethylene, now commonly called as polythene. In science, you all are aware of this, the fact that whenever we get results, our results should be reproducible. if we are not getting results in repetition, means we are nothing. We have nothing. These people again also tried to do the same thing. They repeated the results, but unfortunately, for consecutive 2 to 3 years, they are getting continuous failure. They were not getting the results. The results to get the plastics. How they was synthesized. Later, a team of scientists from the empirical chemical industries visited the lab. It was headed by a scientist named Kirin. And they have optimized the reaction in 1933, 1935. The results were obtained first time in 1933. In 1935, the protocol was optimized. In 1938, the production of polythene was commercialized at global level, and due to its enormous usage, it was used in cables. In World War II, there was a World War II, the British the British Atlantic used it against the or as an insulating material to radar cables, and they have defended the German submarines, and then it gets recognition worldwide, and in all scenarios of our lives we are using these plastic based substances. Uh, at that time, later various other types of plastic were also produced based on the pressure used or the density. Someone is called as low density polythene, other type is known as high density polythene. Later, various other types of plastics were also discovered. So let us discuss about type of polythene plastic. Based, as I earlier said, that based on the method of preparation, manufacturing, the process, two main types of polythene was discovered, prepared at that time. One is known as low density polythene, other is high density polythene. One most important thing to inform, to aware, actually this is awareness initiative program. Here I have to tell you about the types of different plastics. As per the Indian standards and the global standards, people have designated some codes to designate different type of plastics. So there are following 7 types of codes used to designate the type of plastics. Number one is PET, polyethylene tetraphthalate. Second one is high density polyethylene. Third one, polyvinyl chloride. Fourth, low density polyethylene. Fifth one is polypropylene and polystyrene, and seventh is other type of plastic. Any other type of plastic which is not coming above 6 types is seventh type. The other type of plastic, one is microplastic and microplastic. Microplastic is also of 2 types. I will discuss it later in slides. First of all, we should be familiar about the types of plastic, because the now from second onwards we have to face ban on the single-use plastics. We will discuss it later slide. So first we will polyethylene tetraphthalate. The plastic bottles, water bottles which we are using frequently is nothing but PET. It is going to be banned in phase manner. And the high density polyethylene, all the toiletry items and the milk jugs is come under second category polyethylene. They are generally safe. The first one is safe, but it should not be reused. It is single-use plastic. The third one is polyvinyl chloride. It is generally used to prepare the pipes, the insulating electrical wires, and making the window designing the frames and flooring tiles. The first one is a low density polyethylene, which is used to make the outdoor furniture, side floor tiles, and other. This 4 number is generally safe, but is not meant for reuse. It is again single-use plastic. Number 5 is polypropylene. The lids of the cold drinks, soft drinks bottle is made up of this type of plastic. So these type of plastic are also safe, and we can reuse them. And the fifth type of plastic is polystyrene, which is used to make foam peanuts to bake some fragile substances during packaging, and hot drink cups and the cutlery items and the cassettes and CDs, etc. This type of plastic is dangerous, most dangerous plastic, because this leads out when we heat it, it produces some chemicals called styrene, which is an endocrine disruptor, which is high toxic, and so it is not safe for food items, especially. And the other type of plastic is polycarbonate or other plastic. In another plastic, the most widely used plastic is polycarbonate, and it is used to preparation, manufacturing of the bottles, milk bottles for the babies, and the butter bottles and the water bottles is, for sports people being used. This type of plastic also contain additives called as bisphenol A, which is again a very dangerous compound, which is also reported as disruptor hormone. So this is not safe to use when heated. Now we will discuss about microplastic. Microplastic is nothing but it is the plastic, all those types, when their particle size becomes less than 5 micrometer, they become microplastic. And microplastic is so small in size that we cannot estimate their exact number. Being small size, it gets easily mixed with the organic matter and is being entered into the food chains. In future slide, I will show you how it enters the food chain. So these microplastics are also considered as the potential threats, and they are more dangerous than the macroplastic itself, and affecting both marine and terrestrial environment. Based on their sources, the microplastic is again of two types. First type is primary microplastic. Second one is secondary microplastic. Primary microplastic is generally prepared from the primary sources of plastic, and the most commonly things we are using in the soap, shampoo, toothpaste, and other cosmetics. In these things, this type of plastic is used, microplastic. And the secondary microplastic are those microplastic which are used, which are prepared from the secondary sources. Due to breakage of the plastic into environment, due to anthropological activities or due to environmental conditions, the products are formed. These are called secondary metabolites. These are called secondary microplastic. There are various sources of microplastic, and as per report, there are 7 major sources of the microplastic: the city dust, marine coatings, personal care products, plastic pellets, road markings, synthetic textiles, and tires. Due to its abundant usage, this is the overview of the plastic usage in our whole domain of life from all scale to industry level. And as per this report, we came to know that most of the plastic is being used in packaging material. 35% of the total plastic used is in packaging material. Second part is the building and constructions and other domains. So, due to its enormous usage, every year the production of plastic is getting doubled. And as end users, Asia continent is reported as the highest user of this plastic. 35% we are using, followed by North America and Europe. So at global level, it is in demand. So due to its ease of manufacturing and low cost, its production is being increased in many folds. The plastic waste finally enters this is a report published in Science a few years before. They have reported that how the plastic waste from terrestrial environments enters sea and leads to death of marine biota, both animals and plants. Due to its usage, as per reports, that there are huge quantity of plastic waste is getting accumulated in the environment, and as per estimate, in 2016, it is number is changing every year. In 2016, it was 330 million metric tons, and out of the total plastic waste generated, plastic only polythene shares 64%. So in our research, in our study, we focused only on polythene so that we can address 64% of the total plastic waste. So let us understand, have an overview on the effect of plastic waste on the marine animals. So in the marine, as per reports, about 1 million marine animals are being died due to the consumption, entanglement, and the choking of this stomach with using this polythene plastic. And in this environment, at dumping sites, people are throwing foodstuff along with the plastic. The terrestrial animals used to feed on those plastic carry bags with food, and it was reported that deaths of such animals were reported. As a worker from Punjab, he reported a published paper in 2005. He reported that a cow was after the death of a cow. Uh, the autopsy reports says that 2.5 kg of plastic was recovered from the stomach, and the plastic was found undigested. And it is also reported that the plastic being eaten again by other animals, and the animals get killed. Again, the plastic comes outside. The plastic remains undigested, unaffected. As per reports, plastic under natural environment needs 1,000 years to get degraded. 1,000 years, not a short time. All animals are affected. Insects are infected. The news published in Science magazine, they have reported that the honeybee is also affected with the plastic. And this plastic waste not only affects our lives in marine biota or terrestrial animals, it also leads to generation of flood-like situation in like such like Mumbai. The plastic waste leads to blockage of drainage system, which results into the flood-like situation. And the earlier slides were showing the potential impact of microplastic. Now I am talking about the impact of macroplastic, because earlier said that microplastic is more deadly and dangerous compared to macroplastic. And as per reports, millions of marine animals are being died due to the usage of this microplastic. The injection of microplastic leads to change in physical, morphological, and chemical system of the animals, which decreases their other healthy issues, so that the animals cannot survive. Their lifespan also gets shortened. Their other physiological changes took place, which leads to their death finally. So it is considered as the most dangerous, because in microplastic, various additives are being used. Those additives are very toxic. Bisphenol A is toxic, and other additives are used. And furthermore, these microplastics leads to accumulation of the toxic chemicals in marine environment and aquatic or other, so, and accumulation of heavy metals inside fish, and they also be responsible, and they are entered into the food chain, and finally we humans are getting affected due to this microplastic. In the report published recently, 3 days before, uh, uh, here they have shown that how the microplastic affects both humans, birds, and the plants and benthic organisms inside in marine environment. The plastic gets weathered using other various environmental conditions, and the small particles being eaten by fishes, fishes eaten by the birds, and humans also feed on fishes. And at the same time, these microplastic also leads to enhance the diseases in coral reefs and other plants in marine environment, and ultimately humans are getting infected. I mean to say by this slide that this way the microplastic enters in the food chain. Recently, this paper was published. It states that most people we are using the tea, ready-made tea. As per report in USA, I think in Canada, they have reported that they have studied 4 types of tea bags, and they have reported that billion tons of microplastic and nanoplastic particles from these tea bags. They have also assessed the toxic effect of these microplastic on some test animals, model animals in marine environment, and they have reported that these animals also get affected at morphological and physiological level, although death was not recorded. This is another effect of microplastic waste, which leads to intestinal damage and other oxidative stresses in microplastic in the marine environment. Now, let us discuss the main important issue: how to manage the plastic waste. How many methods are available in the literature? Which one is the most efficient and suitable? In literature, when we survey the literature survey, we came to know that there are various methods available. The first one widely used method is incineration, landfilling. The second, incineration. Third, recycling. Construction of roads using plastic waste. Production of petrochemicals based on plastic products, and degradation of plastic. Let us discuss one by one. Landfilling is one of the widely used methods to manage the plastic waste. Almost 65% of the total municipality waste end up in landfills. In landfills, the plastic remains undegraded for years, and it leads to deteriorate the soil fertility of that area, and it also hampers the life of the inhabitants living over this area, and huge amount of area is getting spoiled due to this type of method, and this method is not eco-friendly. The second one is incineration, means the burning of the plastic material in the open or in incinerators. The incinerators is of very high cost. There are some crores of each incinerators, but due to incineration, very toxic gases are getting released in the environment, which are very deadly. So this method is again not eco-friendly method. Many people think that why we cannot recycle plastic? We should be recyclable. But as per literature, as per reports, only 10% of the total plastic waste gets recycled. All plastic is not recyclable. So this method is also looks promising, but it is not the final solution. Only few plastics can be recycled. Another method is construction of road, which is also seems very feasible and good method, but during preparation of roads, it is being mixed with the bitumen for the road construction, and for that purpose we need to heat it along with bitumen. During that heat, during that burn, we also the toxic gases also get released into the environment, and which are again dangerous, again toxic. So only 10% of the plastic is being used for this purpose again, and this method is also not an eco-friendly method. The last one is the method that is called degradation. There are various methods again inside degradation. There is photodegradation, there is photooxidation degradation, biodegradation, bioremediation. Among all these methods, bioremediation is considered as the most eco-friendly and cheaper method, cheaper and eco-friendly. because we have to consider this thing is also in mind economical aspect. So, what are the sources, key sources to get these microbes which can degrade the polythene or degrade the plastic? Here we can talk only polythene because, as I earlier said, that the total plastic waste only 64% represents only by polythene. So here I am talking only polythene, so that the 64% problem get addressed. There are various sources. One is seawater, rhizosphere soil of mangroves, and the dumping plastic dumping sites. So I would outline overview some of the contribution which we have contributed in Pune University on this aspect. We have our aim was to discover some elite microbes such as bacteria and fungi who are having high efficiency to degrade polythene. For that purpose, keeping in view the sources of polythene degrading microbes, we have selected 12 locations along the west coast of India from Gujarat to Kanyakumari. We have visited these sites, we have collected samples, and we have isolated bacteria and fungi, and this is the Avesna Marina plant at the Vashi, Mumbai. And these are some collection sites, representative sites, where we can see that plastic waste is there, seawater is there, and the dumping plastic sites are visible. We have collected samples from these sites, GPS locations. And under laboratory conditions, we have selected few. There are various methods to check to assess the degradation level. So we have analyzed this degradation by 4 methods. First one was weight loss, percent weight loss. Second one we chose was tensile strength. Third we used was changes in corneal index using FTIR analysis. Fourth one was the visible changes on the surface of polythene using scanning electron microscopy. This is the first slide shows the results after 2 months of incubation at room temperature. We reported that top 5 isolates out of in bacteria out of 123 isolates, the 5 best isolates were reported, and we reported 18.23% weight loss highest in bacteria, whereas in fungi we got promising results which are very higher than the bacteria. At the same time period, we got 58% weight loss within 2 months' time, although in nature it took about 1000 years to degrade. We again, as earlier I said, that repetition is very important. We repeated the experiments based on tensile strength, and unfortunately, the results based on tensile strength were not promising. They were not repeated. The results were not promising. We get the results which were not repeatable. So we moved to another parameter, that is tensile strength. And based on tensile strength, we reported in case of bacteria, highest tensile strength was reported 87% with loss in tensile strength. But as compared to fungi were again efficient. In case of fungi, we got 94% loss in tensile strength. We again repeated the experiments, and in case of tensile strength, the results were reproducible. We got the same results again. Then we did FTR analysis to analyze the corneal index in case of fungi, in case of fungi. Further than the skin electron microscopy. Here we visualize the level of degradation on the surface of polythene. We use different types of this control, treated, untreated, and treated. One thing I forgot to mention that before certain experiments, we used 2 types of polythene. One was treated polythene, one untreated. Why we use this? Because the polythene is being its tensile strength is being enhanced using of some additives. In our study we use 20 micron thick polythene, which is already banned in the Maharashtra as well as other parts of India. And to remove those plasticizers from the polythene, we use some treatment nitric acid method, and we also use as a control untreated plastic also. So here, in case of weight loss experiment, we also got weight gain. So this slide depicts that the significant degradation of polythene was done with the bacteria, and fungi also did the same. And the results based on the bacteria were also published, and on the most efficient, we also identified those strains of bacteria using 16S RNA gene sequencing method, and we came up with the bacteria Lysine bacillus fusiformis with 21% weight loss in 2 months, and the Bacillus cereus with 87% loss in tensile strength after 2 months of time period. Further, after the degradation, further using the fungi, we also got one publication, and similarly we also identified those fungi, especially fungi, using the ITS gene sequencing and morphological ways, and we reported that the Aspergillus cereus strain reported maximum 50% weight loss, and Aspergillus dovi results in 94% loss in tensile strength after 2 months incubation. Further, after the degradation of the polythene, we also analyze the degradation products which are being formed up to the degradation of effect of bacteria as well as fungi, and further the toxicity level of those degrading products were also checked on both plant and animal system. In case of plants, we chose sorghum seeds, and in case of animal system, we chose the edible fish, and we report significant level of our results were eco-friendly results. They were not too much toxic to the both plants and animals. And in case of fungi-based studies, we also got good results, and the byproducts were not toxic to the plants and animals. We have also published a book on bioremediation technology for plastic waste with Springer in June, which got very huge media coverage, this book and the publications. Our work was acknowledged by various news agencies, BBC Marathi, some blogs. This is the Indian Science News, Vigyan Prasar. This is the Don't Earth website, they also cover our story. This is the TV9 Marathi. This is my PhD guide, Dr. Avinash Ade, and my colleague, Dr. M.K. Sangle. And then TV channel ABP Marathi, they also covered our story. And this is the interview of mine, which was held in the News Now in Jammu, and many more. So what are the now after this? We should be aware about the policies and the regulations which the government of India has framed to regulate the plastic waste. In future slide, I will explain one more thing. The good news that what we initiated earlier in 2011 to 2012, in our book we have suggested some recommendations, and those recommendations are now being implemented, which is good news for us. So these policies were available earlier than the current ban. Before the implementation of this ban, which was announced on the Independence Day by Prime Minister, it was like earlier banned, but people are not following these guidelines. Earlier it was banned, 50 microns below polythene was not allowed. Water bottles below capacity of 0.5 liter was not allowed. And carry bags made up of natural polythene bag. The colorants which are using in the plastic bags were not allowed because the colorants are also toxic. They are heavy metals used. We will discuss these things again in future slide. So this is the impact of our work. In our book, which was published in June, we have these encircled things. We have recommended that total ban on the manufacture of plastics in than 50 micron. Now it is implemented It will be effective from 2nd October. It will be implemented. We various almost 7 suggestions we have written in our book, and I am happy that these things are getting attention by the media and they are being implemented by the government of India. Now we are talking about the current ban. What is the current ban? In the government of India have initiated an awareness program. This talk is also a part of that initiative program, that is Swachta Hi Sewa. It will be end up on 2nd October, and from 2nd October onwards, single-use plastic will get banned in India. University Grants Commission also initiated guidelines to ban the plastic, and in India, Jammu Hamdard University became the first university which bans plastic completely in its campus. Nowadays, every channel cover the plastic related items, and every day we can find numerous articles, numerous magazines with this news plastic waste products. And the Prime Minister also spoke this thing in the UN recently, this talk. Now, what is single-use plastic? Single-use plastic is the first type. Single-use plastic is not only one type of plastic. There are various types of plastic which come under this domain. These are the carry bags which are using. The most important part of single-use plastic is the packaging material. We cannot use the material again after use of the packaging. The straws, the bottles, and all these things, they are single-use plastic. Now the question is this ban total ban or the phase manner ban? This ban is not total ban. This is phase manner ban. Some items are being banned from 2nd October, and few months will be again given. Then after few months, some things will be again banned. So these are the single-use plastics, straws, carry bags, water bottles. As per new guidelines, all the shopkeepers, vendors, wholesale retailers will not be permitted to store, manufacture, import, sell, transport, or supply of these single-use plastics. Then which items are being banned? These items are being banned: single-use plastic, cutlery items, thermocol, styrofoam cutlery, single-use plastic less than 250 micron, which is used for packaging material and utensils, and drinking water bottles, sealed water bottle less than half liter or 250 ml below, 5.5 liter below is banned. And the water pouches, which is widely used in Maharashtra and other parts of the country, not in Jammu, but they are banned. And the plastic items such as these, which are known as silver aluminum foil, to get the food from the hotels, the delivery system get choked with this system, with the ban of this type of articles. And the single-use razors get banned, single-use pens get banned. Use of thermocol for decoration also get banned. And use of these plastic materials are all types of plastic which is being banned from 2nd October. And the items which are being allowed since after ban from 2nd October, these the items which are still allowed up to 3 months time. The first one is the plastic used for the milk products and the ice creams, and the plastic sticks of the earbuds, balloons, flag, and the balloons. These will be allowed up to 3 months from 2nd October. And what if the people would not follow the guidelines? What is the punishment? They all people who will not follow the guidelines, who will not follow the ban, they will be punished up to 5 years jail or 1 lakh penalty or both. It depends upon the officer in charge of that locality. The officer in charge have also right to stop the electricity and water supply to the defaulter unit. So it is needed to get aware about the plastic waste dangerous, the side effects of plastic, so that the people get aware. These programs should be organized among the masses, so that people get organized. We will get to know about the impact of plastic waste. There are several. There are three. One National Solid Waste Association of India, Jawaharlal Nehru National Urban Rural Mission, Urban Infrastructure Development Scheme for small and medium towns were the earlier schemes for the social awareness of this plastic waste. Recently, the Swachta Sewa was initiated by the Government of India in 2019, and this lecture is a part of this program initiative. There are several other organizations which are working both from government side and NGOs in this field in different parts of the country and parts of the world to tackle this. So, if before imposing ban on certain things, we should have alternative. If suppose I will say don't use plastic bottles, the question I will getting in response for what we can use instead of that plastic bottles. What are the alternatives we can use? Because the plastic was invented in 1933. We are living before 1933. They were using other sources also. So again, we have to put ourselves up to, because this alternative we have to follow to reduce the generation of plastic waste. Researchers are working across the globe to find the microbes which are responsible to degrade polythene, the plastic, so that we should not ban these important commodities of plastic because it's highly usable. The items which are available as alternative are glass, wood, cotton, hemp, leather, fiber, and other things, aerosols.
And this.
And there are what are the studies to be followed to reduce the plastic waste generation, so that we cannot use we should minimize the use of plastic. We should use carry bags. Those carry bags which are made up of biodegradable items such as hemp, paper, etc. We should avoid the use of synthetic carry bags. Uh, During shopping, we should carry our own carry bag. We should not get the bags from the shops. And further, we should not prefer to purchase items which are in plastic. We should prefer the items which are in boxes of other things. And we should reuse our glass containers. We should carry our own carry bags to the shops. We should use made boxes and some plastic lighters. We should not purchase frozen foods, and we should avoid uh, consumption of plastic based products. And we should take more precaution to avoid the usage of all type of plastics which are mentioned here. And what is the future need? The story not ends here. There are future. What are the future needs? What we should do? What is the needed of the hour to tackle this problem? Because this problem is now a global issue, not an Indian issue. It's a global issue. People are getting affected worldwide, globally. They're infected, and people are working on it. And the most important need is that some people should come with the microbes which are having most efficiency to degrade, to get rid of this plastic waste. And we should minimize the usage of plastic up to, especially the parties which are we organizing. We are mostly prefer. I was in college time. I read an article, an essay written by George Bernard Shaw. He was saying that how wealth accumulates and may decay. When we are getting wealthier, we become lazier. We don't want to wash our plate, so we prefer ready-to-use items, and at the meantime, we are costing the generation of plastic waste. So we should minimize those things in all parties, all marriage ceremonies. We should use other alternative items which are safer to use. And now future plans. In future, where I am planning on this aspect to to uh, to study the effect of micro and microplastic waste mitigation using benthic biota. Two scientists are working in collaboration with me. One from USA, University of California, Professor Lam, and one scientist from IIIM Jammu, Dr. Ravi Singh. Shortly, we will come up with the results, and we will go ahead with this project, which is very important, because the plastic. One more thing I forgot to mention, that the plastic which enters the marine environment, 90% ends settled down. Only 10% flows on the surface on the surface of water. And as per reports, it was reported that in 2050, in the marine environment, the number of plastic particles will be more than the number of fishes. So it is very dangerous, very important work to do. So I am like to thank my guide and my all activities of University of Pune for providing such facilities and infrastructure, and my all funding sources for providing me fellowship time to time. And thank you very much for